Hello everyone, get your popcorn ready and enjoy. The film opens with a flashback. Teen Madeleine Swan Colleen Defort takes care of her ailing mother Matilda Bourbon while a man in a mask, Rami Malek, arrives at their home. Madeleine sees the man standing in the window and runs to hide. The man enters the house, introduces himself to her mother as Liat Safin, and says he is there for Mr. White, as he killed Safin's family. When Madeleine's mother can't answer him, Safin shoots her to death. Madeleine hides in her bed where Safin is looking for her. She shoots him and drags his body outside, but he turns out to be alive. Madeleine starts to run across the lake until she falls. Safin can't get himself to let her die, so he shoots the ice and drags her away. Jump to the present where Madeleine, now played by Lee Seydoux, is living with James Bond, Daniel Craig, in Matera, romantically. Although they are both happy together, Madeleine knows Bond still has lingering thoughts about Vesper Lynd, whom she points out is buried close to them. She encourages to let her go, doing the same with her memory of Safin by writing, "Masked Man," in French on a piece of paper and burning it. Bond goes to Vesper's tomb the next day to finally forgive her. He also has a sheet of paper ready to burn that says "Forgive me." Before leaving, Bond sees a Spectre card and seconds later the tomb explodes. Bond recovers quickly enough to start running, only for assassins, led by a man with a cybernetic eye called Primo, Cyclops Dali Bensala, to go after him. Bond races back to his room on a motorcycle to get Madeleine, accusing her of having him set up since the assassins should not know where to have found him. He captures Madeleine in the Aston Martin and ends up in a high-speed chase across Matera where Bond gets assassins to crash their vans or get shot. The villains corner Bond and Madeleine in the middle of the plaza, begging Bond to make a move while he sits there and lets the thugs shoot at the car. When he sees that Madeleine tells the truth, he activates the machine gun in the car and kills nearly every assassin except Primo. Once they are in the clear, Bond takes Madeleine to a train station where he puts her on a train and parts ways with her due to his trust in her being destroyed. She tearfully tries to catch him as the train begins to depart, but he is long gone. 5 years later, another team of assassins break into the Mi-6 lab. They are working under Safin, who contacts head scientist Waldo Obruchev, David Dencik, and warns him about who is coming. The assassins take Obruchev and another scientist captive while killing the rest of the team. They are a part of an attempt to acquire Heracles, a deadly bioweapon that can be used as poison through skin-to-skin contact. After getting what they want, the assassins kill the other man and take Obruchev with them. Mi-6 learns about this Moneypenny. Naomi Harris is going to talk to Ralph Fiennes about it, but he remains vague as to what Heracles is and demands to know where 007 is. Bond is retired from Mi-6 now and lives in Jamaica. He bumps into Felix Leiter, Jeffrey Wright, and his colleague Logan Ash, Billy Magnuson. They go to a nightclub where Felix tells Bond about the capture of Obruchev and his break into the lab. Bond has little interest in getting involved in resolving Obruchev, and he tells Felix he feels suspicious about Ash. As Bond tries to go home, he finds that his car is not working. He is approached by a woman called Nomi Lashana Lynch, who gives him a ride on her motorcycle. When they get back to his place, she quickly loses her face and reveals that she is not only an agent with Mi-6 but also the new 007. She tells him that Obruchev is her target and for Bond to stay out of her way. Bill Tanner Rory Kinnear talks to Q Ben Winshaw about retrieving stolen files from the lab. Bond contacts M to ask him what he has done with Obruchev and Spectre. M hangs up and tells Tanner he wants to get in touch with Blofeld, Christoph Waltz, who is locked up in Belmarsh and is seen talking to himself. Felix had Bond go to Cuba to meet a Kia operative named Paloma Ana de Ramos. They infiltrate a Spectre meeting where Blofeld is using a robot eye like Primo uses to watch the party. Meanwhile, Obruchev is being forced to set up Heracles in the facility, but he is seen switching a vial from the device. Once Bond and Paloma realize Blofeld has something going for him, the entire party turns their focus to Bond. The Heracles poison is released in the room with the intent to kill Bond, while the poison does not affect Spectre agents. What happens is the opposite, as Spectre operatives start to grow boils on their faces before dropping dead, all while Bond and Paloma remain unaffected. The two face off against gunmen, including Primo, while Nomi shows up to apprehend Obruchev. After killing several henchmen, Paloma gets a car and spots Obruchev trying to make a run for it. She rams the car into the structure he is climbing down, causing him and it to collapse onto the car. Bond takes Obruchev and parts ways with Paloma after she gives him a cigar for Felix, and Bond takes Obruchev away on a rickety old plane. Bond brings Obruchev to Felix's boat to meet with him and Ash. When they start to interrogate Obruchev about Heracles and why it specifically did not affect Bond, Ash becomes nervous and tells Obruchev to stop talking. Obruchev says Spectre were always the main targets, so he changed the DNA sample during the poisoning to kill them instead of Bond, and he also says that M helped him create Heracles. When Bond asks how Blofeld knew that he would be there, he quickly realizes that Ash is a double agent working with Obruchev. During a battle, Ash shoots Felix and runs away with Obruchev, where they blow a hole into the ship to cause it to sink. Although Bond tries to help Felix, they know that his gunshot wound is too severe and Felix resigns himself to his fate. Bond leaves his friend behind only regrettably before he is able to escape. Bond returns to MI6 to confront M. He demands to be let into Belmarsh to speak to Blofeld, but M refuses and ends up sending Bond out after Bond pisses him off. M summons Nomi to tell her that he wants everything in Blofeld's cell checked, even the man himself. Moneypenny offers Bond a helping hand on his way out. That night they go to Q's house as he prepares to have dinner with his boyfriend. They ask him to take a look at the files they recovered, and when he does, they discover files on the Spectre targets, with only Blofeld remaining. There are also thousands of other files about other people's DNA samples all over the world. Bond tells Q to get him into Belmarsh to meet with Blofeld, but he says only one person has access to him. Now make Madeleine go to the psychiatrist. She goes to her office to find Safin there, but she doesn't immediately recognize him until he presents her with his broken mask. When she starts to grow nervous, he tells her he needs something. Bond meets with the entire MI6 team later in the day to be reinstated as a OO agent. They review files regarding a Spectre funeral where 5 family members who had come into contact with him are now dead from contracting Heracles poison. M then explains that Heracles was not meant to be as harmful as it is now, as it was only meant to be designed for specific targets through contact over those it doesn't affect, but now it has been weaponized using nanobots to go after targets and anyone related to them. M finally approves Bond's plan to meet with Blofeld and see what he can. Bond goes to Belmarsh and reunites with Madeleine. He tries to shake her hand but she declines. Once Blofeld is brought in, Madeleine starts to grow nervous and tries to leave. Bond grabs her wrist but she turns around and leaves. Bond is left talking to Blofeld, who taunts him and says he established a terror attack at Vesper's tomb to intentionally make Bond believe Madeleine arranged his actions. He whacked Bond to the point where he forced Blofeld to physically attack him. As Tanner enters to stop Bond, they see that Blofeld has been poisoned to death by Bond's touch. Bond learns that he was infected by Heracles after touching Madeleine and can't get it out of him. Madeleine has fled from her apartment and nobody can find her. Bond goes after her on her own and finds her at her childhood home. To his surprise, he finds that she has a daughter, Matilda, Lisa Dora Sonnet, although Madeleine claims she is not Bond's. After Matilda goes to sleep, Madeleine tells Bond who Safin is. Blofeld instructed Madeleine's father to kill Safin's entire family, which left him as the only survivor with facial disfigurements. She also mentions an island that Safin's family had, where his base of operations currently is. Bond gives Q info on locating Safin, and Q informs MI6 that the island is located between Japan and Russia. Nomi is looking for Ash, but Bond learns that he and Safin's other minions are close, so he takes Madeleine and Matilda out of the house to save them. On the road, the assassins chase after the 3. Bond runs 2 off the road, but their van is also knocked off the road. Bond shoots at the assassins and sets traps for a couple of others until Ash comes out to try and kill Bond himself. Bond overturns his vehicle and causes him to crash. Ash goes out to ask for Bond's help. In retribution for Felix's death, Bond pushes Ash's van down to crush him. He then learns that Madeleine and Matilda have been taken by the British Army and taken to the island. Bond joins MI6, where Nomi relinquishes the title of 007 to Bond as they head off to the island to stop Safin and save Madeleine and Matilda. Meanwhile, the villain brings the 2 to his garden where other poisonous plants are developed, including the nanobots being harvested for the Heracles poison distribution. Bond and Nomi are taken to the island where they break into the prison and take out the gunman. They capture Obruchev and plan to blow up the place even if they do not have enough explosives to do the job. After continued threats, Nomi pushes Obruchev into a pool of nanobots where he is gruesomely dissolved. The other workers flee once they see the effect of the nanobots. Madeleine manages to escape Primo's captivity by throwing hot tea in his face. Bond finds Safin with Matilda in his captivity. When Safin threatens both her and Madeleine, Bond gets on his knees and begs Safin to not hurt them if he does what he wants, but Bond then takes out a concealed pistol and kills Safin's guards, but he escapes through a hatch with Matilda. However, the little girl bites Safin and he just lets her go. She hides until Madeleine finds her. Bond runs into them and helps them get away. Primo attacks Bond, but he uses Q's gadget watch to fry Primo's cybernetic eye and make it blow up in his head, killing him. Bond then opens the hatch doors to allow the Royal Navy to launch missiles to destroy the facility. He succeeds and starts to make his way out until he finds that they are closing again because of Safin. Bond goes to open them again and is attacked by Safin, who shoots him and then infects him with nanobots specific for Madeleine and Matilda. Bond fights Safin with a broken arm before shooting him. He manages to open the doors again, but he realizes he cannot leave the island without hurting Madeleine and Matilda. He contacts Q, who has Nomi put Madeleine on the line for him. They share a final moment together, reaffirming their love for each other, and Madeline confirms that Matilda really is Bond's daughter. He then stands as the missiles arrive, obliterating the facility, and Bond himself, everyone else knows what happened. From me 6 meters, Tanner, Q, Moneypenny and Nomi all gather for a toast to Bond's memory. Madeline drives Matilda to Matera to continue their lives. She then decides to tell Matilda the story of her father, a man named James Bond. That's all from the movie. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.